Yes, this is Jim the Anvil Neidhart of the Hart Foundation. You're listening to 3 Count Wrestling.
My producer made a little boo-boo. Okay, so everyone ready?
I am. You sound a little distant. Are you on a speakerphone?
Hello? Yep.
Yeah, okay, now you sound great. Okay, good. Good. I don't want to make you hold the unit to your head, but this should...
I'll just hold to my head here.
Sure. All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chris, take us in.
Okay.
In 5, 4, 3, 2.
And welcome back to 3 Count Wrestling, where it is really an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be joined by a true legend of the wrestling business, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Mr. Neidhart, how are you doing this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm doing just fine.
Great. We got the trademark laugh right off the bat. Love it.
Well, that trademark laugh is the laugh I have when I'm talking to good people like yourself, and we're getting ready to go up to Baltimore and do that big meet and greet up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's the first question. Chris, you want to ask it?
Mm-hmm. Well, sure. You're a major part of the upcoming Capital Wrestling Legends Fan Fest. Bret Hart, Rick Martel, a lot of big stars are going to be there from the past, including yourself. Is there anyone you're looking forward to catching up with?
Catching up with?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always like to catch up with my partner, Bret the Hitman Hart. There's always something very, very interesting and exciting going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm down here in Florida at my new residence in Tampa with Jimmy Hart. And he's real busy down here and working with the Devil Rays down here in Tampa Bay and the games. And it's all really exciting. But I'll get most of my information from Bret and go from there.
How did you end up in Florida? I know a lot of wrestlers ended up in that easy for me to say, Tampa area.
Well, it was a while ago. I was working in Japan with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and a guy by the name of Hulk Hogan was wrestling on the same tour I was. And he goes, "Hey, Jim, that Tampa's a beautiful place. And I'm from Southern California originally."
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying Tampa's a great place, and all the guys said, "Tampa, Florida, where the hell's that?" And the first time I came here, I said, "Oh, this is me. Boats, fishing, pretty girls down here, the whole deal."
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you happy to be out of the cold Canada?
Yes. No, Calgary's a nice place if you're Canadian.
Or a polar bear.
Or a polar bear.
Right. Well, our show has interviewed your daughter, Natty, a few months ago. Well, first off, we have a question about her. How's her knee, recovery from her knee injury coming along?
It's come along very well. Of course, she's really young and recuperated really quick off it, and she's rehabbed it very, very well, much better than I would ever rehab anything. Any injury I ever had, I just let it go and hope for the best. But the kids these days are getting so sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
But she's really a chip off the old block.
Yeah.
Not that I want to brag about my own daughter, but she's pretty good, and she reminds me a lot of me when I was that age.
Mm. How do you feel about her getting involved in the wrestling business, knowing all the things that come along with it?
Well, it's, when your daughter becomes an adult, it's kind of out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something she really wanted to do, and it's kind of in her body a little bit. She's a very pretty girl, but she has a lot of my same genes in her, as far as big bones and being strong and explosive.
Mm-hmm. And
she learned her craft out in Japan with these female Japanese wrestlers. And they accepted her, and she did real well out there. And, how are you going to stop something like that?
Well, if we could ask a naive fanboy question, how did you get the name The Anvil?
Okay. The Anvil, I got that name. I was wrestling for a promoter by the name of Stu Hart.
Yes.
And in Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working that territory, and we came off the road after a 500-mile road trip from Regina to Calgary, and I was exhausted. And Stu came in my bed and goes, "Hey, get up, you big bastard." And I said, what the hell is going on? And he wanted me to come to the Calgary Stampede to throw a 100-pound Anvil against a lot of other celebrities, athletic celebrities. And I managed to throw a 100-pound Anvil 11 feet 2 inches to have the world record. And
wow.
I just barely won it. And there was a little girl blacksmith that just almost beat me. She wasn't more than 85, 90 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And you could throw it any way you want to, but I just managed to just barely beat her. And that's how I got my name, the Anvil. My mother-in-law, Helen Hart, gave me that name. She thought it was pretty, it would fit me with my, my body style, my head and wide shoulders and stuff.
Before the Hart Foundation was formed, they were going to give Brett a gimmick where he rode a horse to the ring and all that cowboy stuff. Did they ever have a gimmick lined up for you before the Hart Foundation came along?
No, I know they were going to make Brett a cowboy before we were a tag team out there originally.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like that at all.
Right.
But as far as the gimmick, I had a manager, Mr. Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just your basic, I had a flat top and a goatee and about 280 pounds with a big fat belly. And I was just your basic heel, bad guy, all the above. That type of thing.
Oh, all right. Was Mr. Fuji as big of a ribster on the road as everybody says he was?
Oh, that and probably a lot more.
Oh, I've heard several stories about how he used to chain people's cars closed, or because they used to have the handles that stuck out on the sides, and he used to put a chain around it, or he cooked a dog for somebody and never told them, or something like that.
Oh yeah, he was a master with crazy glue also.
Was he? Could you give us a story?
Oh God, that goes back a little bit, but yeah, most of the stories I couldn't tell. They're a little bit too harsh. It wouldn't be interesting if I had to tame them down too much.
Wow. Well, another fanboy question is when Brett came up with the Hart Foundation gimmick, or the idea, how excited were you about it?
What are you saying? Brett came up with the Hart Foundation gimmick? As far as the name?
In his DVD, he says he came up with it.
Yeah, that was kind of a mutual thing with Jimmy Hart and myself and Bret Hart. Bret was always very good with, always design our costumes, and but the Hart Foundation was, as the best I know, was we all had the last name Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Hart, Bret Hart, and I had the Neidhart, and people thought we just made that up, but that's our real name.
Right.
And it was kind of a mutual thing where Bret and Jimmy Hart, I think, got together and we kind of threw it around, and those creative minds on that side figure that out, and it just seemed really catchy for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Now, you being the big burly guy yourself, former football player, were you in favor of wearing pink?
Well, the pink itself, in those days, if you were to wear pink, you were pretty much labeled a homosexual.
Politically
that
correct.
was going to be your gimmick. But Adrian Adonis, rest his soul, was also had Jimmy Hart as manager.
Right.
So Adrian was wearing pink, and he was getting all the top bookings on top in the Garden, and New York, and Boston, and around the circuit there before the WWF went really hog wild.
Right.
But I told Brett, I said, geez, if Adrian's wearing pink, why don't we wear pink? We might get on the same, same bookings or something, same level of, because we were on the bottom of the card.
Mm-hmm.
So we came with him with the all pink, and Vince McMahon really loved it. It was the first color thing that really came out there, and the pink was just really stood out. And it was just one of those things we just fell into, and there's 3 girls out there that did all the costume work. They're still out there now doing a great job for the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And they came with this wild, flashy, all pink, and it was just so different. Well, the people looked at Brett and myself, and they said, well, those guys don't look homosexual or queer.
No.
But it seemed to fit, and it was the color that Vince McMahon was looking for.
Mm. One of our upcoming guests is Smash from Demolition, also known as Barry Darso. That's his real name. Going back to your time with the Hart Foundation, do you have any stories or upcoming things that we can pass along to Smash that might make him tell a story or anything interesting like that?
Well, Smash, Barry Darso, was my tag partner out here in Florida for 6 months.
Right.
And Smash was the one that, he had the goatee originally. And he had a ball, he was a Russian. And we wrestled in the Florida territory for 6 months out here with Eddie Graham.
Right.
And so that's how Smash said, Jim, get rid of that full beard and make your beard like mine. And that's what I did, and I just kept the flat top and the flat top and the goatee.
Right.
So Smash was really responsible for getting my look, and I just kept it with the sunglasses that seemed to fit.
Did that beard, that long goatee, did that at all get influenced by ZZ Top?
No, I have a pretty good beard anyway, and it grows pretty large. So when I just shaved the sides off a full beard, it went really pointy, like a like a unicorn's horn or something.
Right.
And we've met ZZ Top 3 or 4 times along our way, and we've had some fun with our beards and stuff.
I also heard a story that you actually had a chance to meet Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Oh, we definitely met Jimmy Page in England. I didn't know who the hell he was.
Oh, really?
And he was backstage, and we were in Manchester in a big, huge, sold-out auditorium. And Brett goes, "Come here, Joe. I want you to meet somebody." I said, "Who is it?" I don't know who the hell that is. Like, why don't you tell him to stop bothering us? He goes, "Jim, no. I said, "Who the hell is that? Would you tell him to stop bothering us, Brett?" And he goes, "That's Jimmy Page." I said, "Well, who the hell is that?" And he goes, "Stairway to Heaven." Like, oh, that's Jimmy Page. And he is a big, big wrestling fan, a big Hart Foundation fan, and we got some good pictures with him.
Oh, really cool.
Well, we have a set of forums on our website, and one of our major members is Marty Jannetty. And there's one match that you and he were a part of that we have to talk about, which is October 1990, the Saturday Night's Main Event, where the top rope broke or collapsed.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Brett said in an interview that he heard that you possibly might have cut the rope, but
he said he didn't know if he doesn't know if he believes that, but he said it's a funny story if it was true.
Well, the Marty Jannetty and Sean were scheduled, if they could out wrestle us to take those belts from us. 2 out of 3 falls, and they did most of their best stuff from the top and the second rope, So I didn't mess with the ropes. I don't know if I was. It was a while ago. I'm searching my memory banks for that. I was looking at the ring earlier in the daytime.
Right.
That's all I can remember. I was looking at it. I don't know if I was messing with it too much, but those rings you can't really.
Without tools.
Jimmy, yeah, too much.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden the top rope broke, and then the second rope broke, and we were already into the first fall. I said, "Well, geez, Brett, if the top and the second is down, and we're still going on here, it was live.
Right.
The hell are we going to do?" Because everything, and then we started stumbling over the ropes, and the Rockers were supposed to, if they could beat us, take the belts from us, and it didn't work out, and they never got the belts.
Yeah, they just said, "Oh, we'll give them to them at a later date," and they never did it.
Never did it.
Exactly.
It was just one of those things that destiny wasn't in the cards for them.
Yeah, Marty said in an interview with us that you might want to correct me, James, on this.
Okay, go ahead.
If you wanted to sabotage the match, all you had to do was just knock him and Sean out.
Well, that's not professional.
Right.
Andre the Giant would probably say something different.
Right.
But Marty and Sean are good friends of mine, and they're top professionals, and I would never do anything like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. After the Hart Foundation run, you did some announcing. Honky Tonk Man, Roddy Piper both had different stories about doing it. How did you enjoy going behind the broadcasting microphone?
It was really hard.
Was it?
Now, some people labeled me as a pretty good talker, but I had Gorilla Monsoon on my left and Bobby Heenan on my right, and they stuck me in the middle with this really brutal costume they gave me with a yellow jacket and the scarf and all the bullshit. And it's hard. It's very difficult to talk for 2 hours and make it entertaining and sound like you know what you're talking about. When you got Gorilla and Bobby on each side of you, I could barely get a couple of words in.
Right.
Wow.
So that's a really commentating in the WWE is very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that do it now are extremely good, and to talk for that length of period and just to keep going, it's very hard.
Now, when you were wearing the headset, were they telling you what to say, or?
Well, you'd do like what's called voiceovers.
Right.
And so you go to the studio in Stamford, Connecticut, and you see the matches and you do voiceovers, and then you do the TV show early, in the studio there, and you have just a certain amount of time to do things in and out, and it's got to be pretty tight.
Right.
Well, you after your stint as an announcer, you went back to the ring with Owen as part of the new foundation. How was Owen to tag with?
Oh, he was a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun, and he could do anything, and it was really easy tagging with him.
Why was it so short-lived?
Well, Owen's a really good single, for one thing.
Ah.
And he was so versatile, and he was just coming up then. And things were going on with me, but Owen was really coming to his own then. And that's what happens to tag teams a lot, Yeah. They do really well, and if one guy starts to go out, this and that, that's what happens.
Do you still watch the business at all today?
Oh yeah, how can you not watch it? It's on so much of the TV 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm. As a tag team aficionado of sorts and a legend in your own right, do you look at the tag team division and wonder what happened?
Well, the business has changed so much. It's changed and it's not changed. Obviously, Vince McMahon, the WWE, they know what the hell they're doing. To keep that kind of audience and that kind of time schedule there at night, 7 days a week, and they're offering something that's really entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask me, like, the tag or all the women and stuff like that, they're doing, they're changing with the millennium, changing with the times.
Right.
But tags are always, you're not going to get away from a tag, because in a single they're moving one speed, and in a tag they're moving twice as fast. And in a six-man they're moving 3 times as fast. So it makes for, tag team always makes for a diversified card on an evening's event.
Yeah, it does. We're going to ask about Survivor Series 97. You were there with what happened. We asked you actually yesterday before we confirmed the interview if there was anything we couldn't ask, and you said, well, it's been long enough now, so I guess you meant this. What is your memory of the night that the whole thing went down with Brett and Sean? And Vince?
Well, I thought I was included. I thought I was in the finish on that. And though I never really got a good take on it, but I should have just went home after my match earlier in the card. But I thought I was going to be in the end, and anyway, that was Brett's personal deal, and it was personal business with the office and all that, and it just got to be so chaotic at the end. I just I just was there, there at the time that all was going down. Just like with Davey Boy and Owen.
Did you see the quote unquote infamous punch?
Yeah.
Do you think he drilled him?
Well, it was like two giant billy goats attacking each other. And they both just butted heads in the middle, and there was a lot of Vince and Brett just started throwing a lot of punches and butting and stuff like that, and one thing, it was so fast. And then everyone went in there and dogpiled on the top and tried to break everything up, just like any fight you have in a schoolyard or in the world. It happened so fast that, it was unfortunate, but, stuff like that happens in the wrestling world.
Did you, how do you answer people who say that this was all a work?
Oh, well, they don't know. I don't think it was a work. It looked pretty real to me.
Well, after you left the WWE at WWE, you went to WCW in '98, and well, if I can say so, you weren't used quite all that well. Were you upset at how you were used in WCW back then?
Not at all. I wasn't upset at all. They were paying me. I had a huge contract with them for up to $750,000 over 3 years, and so in the pro wrestling world, I'm getting paid that kind of money. I'll do what's ever required of me to fulfill their program and make the program go right.
Mm. Let me ask you this question.
Simple as that.
Let me ask you this question. It's a little bit of a rough question. First of all, have you heard what the Ultimate Warrior had to say about you in his shoot interview?
Ultimate Warrior had to say about me?
Yes.
I don't know if you can... no, I didn't. I know Jim a little bit. I don't think I've ever wrestled him.
Mm-hmm. But, okay, I'll tell you what he said, and if
you know me that well to say anything about me.
If it offends you, if you don't want to even comment on it, that's okay, and we'll just continue going on. But
I don't see how it could offend me. He doesn't know me that well to even talk about me.
Okay, he claims on a plane you walked up to him and said, "Me and the Bulldog are really into crack." This is what his exact words. Any comment to that at all?
Well, that's very unusual.
Yeah.
Well, that's Davey Boy.
Yeah, that's what. That's what he said.
When he was with the WCW.
Yes.
Oh, that's very odd.
Yeah, it kind of took me by surprise as well.
Oh. Is he? It was in his book or something? Was he bad mouthing everybody, just trying to sell copies or something?
Warrior does that about everybody. Yeah. It was in a shoot interview DVD. I think you did one as well. And he was just telling all these stories, and that was one of them. And I was like, that doesn't seem to add up.
That's pretty stupid.
Exactly.
Because
well, let's try and get some more positive energy into this.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Did you ever think back?
I'll have to ask him if I ever see him again.
What that was about? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever think back in 1986 that 20 years later the Hart Foundation would still be such a force, and that they'd be releasing action figures of you, and you'd be headlining a big show like the Capital Legends Fan Fest?
Well, no, but we were ranked as Vince McMahon has ranked as his #1 tag team of all time, and we did a lot of pay-per-views for him and a lot of WrestleManias, and worked our ass off for Vince, and we did a good job, and so people still remember. And the WWE, they show there's so many videos out and rentals and stuff like that, merchandise.
Right.
That obviously people like what they saw and remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all very positive.
Excellent.
Now, if we could finish off with a few word associations. Basically, few word associations.
Oh, okay, word association.
Yeah, basically, we'll give you a name. If you have a story, that's cool. If you want to just give a one-word answer, that's cool, too.
Oh, one word. What would you prefer, one word?
We prefer a story.
We prefer a story, actually, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
All right, the first... Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. You ahead.
Well, the first one would be your Hart Foundation partner, Bret the Hitman Hart.
That's it?
Yeah, do you have any
Do you have any stories, or just
Oh, that's a huge loaded question. That's pretty vague.
Yeah.
Pretty broad. I would say it was to sum it up, and I could tell you stories with curl your toenails. Yeah. I could talk about him for hours and hours, but it was a very good tag team. We had a really good long run, and he was a great partner for me to have. And I seem very lucky.
I just recently went back and listened to an old interview I did with Sherry Martel, and she was talking about the drawings that Bret used to do before the matches. Used to draw on the blackboards or something and draw pictures of people. Was that done like humorously? Was that done for humor?
Oh, well, Brett did that every night.
Mm.
Every night we ever wrestled, there's always a blackboard up in the locker room, and they'll put the matches up, who's wrestling who. And before they did that, Brett always went up there and put some hysterical cartoon of let's say Chief J Strongbow, that was an agent at the time, and he would draw. Brett would draw the Chief so funny, and it was always a good laugh for everybody in the locker room, and and doing all kinds of crazy things that were was up in the weekly traveling of the circuit, and this went on night after night, day after day, for years. I said, Brett, geez, if we had a copy of this stuff, it would just be an unbelievable archive of cartoons, because Brett's such a good cartoonist.
Mm. Did he ever draw you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There isn't anybody that Brett didn't draw. And if you didn't get drawn on that blackboard, you weren't in. You weren't there.
Wow.
But Brett did some great
I didn't know that about Brett, so.
Oh, yeah, he was just a fantastic cartoonist and a great mind in our business.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, how about your other famous tag team partner, Owen Hart?
Well, he wasn't a cartoonist, but he would do things in a different way as far as ribbing and everything. Owen didn't smoke or drink but he was always great to be around the locker room, and always a good ribber, a big ribber. And when you're on the road for 90 days in a row, you need that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Are there any notable ribs that he's pulled that you care to share?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, to anybody that's listening to this, if they want to come out to the event there, we're having on the 12th and 13th.
Yes.
I'd be glad to discuss that.
Rockville, Maryland.
Yes.
All right, just a couple more for you. How about somebody you wrestled in your early days in the Hart Foundation? He actually wrote a book that was pretty much a hit piece. How about Dynamite Kid?
Dynamite Kid's book?
Yes, or just Dynamite Kid himself.
Oh, well, Dynamite Kid, when I first broke into the wrestling with promoter Stu Hart in Calgary, Dynamite was there, and he was an accomplished wrestler that was better than anybody could imagine. And he was wrestling Tiger Mask over in Japan, the original Tiger Mask, and he was just better than good, And we went to a little Indian reservation in Saskatchewan somewhere, and wrestled in front of 10 Indians. And Dynamite Kid would still wrestle 20 minutes, coming off the top rope and dropping a knee on somebody on the cement 10 feet below. And that's the kind of wrestler he was.
How about somebody you're going to be seeing in Rockville, Maryland in just a week from probably when this airs? How about Rick the Model Martel?
Rick the Model Martel, if you couldn't have one of the best matches of your life with him, you couldn't, call yourself a wrestler. What a tremendous wrestler and athlete he is, and just a tremendous person. But it's always fun to see him, Always keeps himself in good shape.
3 more for you, and then we'll let you off the phone. Somebody did an impression of earlier, and if you could do it again, I'd really appreciate it. Stu Hart? Yeah, that pretty much
that Coca Beware, he's half salty.
How's that?
He's half salty?
He's half salty. Stu would refer to wrestlers that had some fighting ability and some guts in them as salty.
Oh, really? Okay. I heard also Shawn Michaels was involved with that. But
seems like everything happens in Europe for some reason.
Yeah.
Over there.
I think
everyone's really tired, and and after it happens, everyone regrets it, just like Mel Gibson on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how about another Master Ribber, Davey Boy Smith?
Yes. Davey Boy was up in the same category of ribbing as Owen was.
Mm-hmm.
But much better. See, when Dynamite and Davey Boy got together and started doing their ribs, that was really brutal because, you didn't have a chance then. But, like I said, if anybody comes out to the autograph session up here, I'd be glad to talk to them in person about something like that.
Excellent. The last name I have for you is somebody that's probably your neighbor now living in Tampa. How about the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart?
Yes. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. He is going strong and stronger than ever, and he's a real workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was a good manager for me when I first started in the business, and I have him as a manager all through the territories I worked through in Memphis, and I keep running into him all over the place. And when myself and Bret Hart and Jimmy Hart, we get together as the original foundation, we always have a huge influx of people that are just unbelievable. But the Hart Foundation is good when you have all three of us there together.
This might be something that I should probably already know, but is Jimmy going to be there in Rockville?
I certainly hope so. I believe he is.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But you'll have to ask the promoters on that. I believe he's going to be there, but Brett and myself will be there.
Mm-hmm. That'll be tremendous. All right, so the last question for you is, are you looking forward to your appearance coming up just next weekend in Rockville?
Yes, I am. I am looking really forward to it. It's always great to get back together with my old partner, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And we always get just a huge reception, and it's always a lot of fun. So it's definitely going to be a really great day, a really fun day.
Well, once again, we really can't thank you enough. This has been fun for us. It's been a huge thrill for me.
Oh, great! It's been it's fun for me reminiscing through some of these stories, and I just touched on some of these things. But it's been a great interview. You guys did a very good job.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Before we let you go, can I ask you for one little thing?
Yeah.
Could you give us basically a station identification?
Yeah.
Just saying, this is Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and you're listening to 3 Count Wrestling?
Okay, this is Jim the listen to 3 Count Wrestling?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, I'll count you down, and 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yes, this is Jim the Anvil Neidhart of the Hart Foundation. You're listening to 3 Count Wrestling.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, very good.
Yep, take care of yourself, and best of luck to you this next weekend, and if you ever need anything in the future, just give us a call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
I know.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
So what you gonna do?
Let me talk to you, dummies.
Oh, yeah.
You're where it's at. If you're smart like me, you gotta listen. And if you don't listen to it, I'll come out of your computer and body slam your ass. Don't be a Melvin. I will scar you.
Open your third eye.
Woo! It's gonna be cool. Oh, what a rush.
It's showtime!
We had a lovely conversation.
To the interactive interview.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. The Epicenter.